It's week 2 and the Oklahoma State Cowboys already have a win under their belts. Good afternoon from the Dodge Sports Desk. I'm Mike Koehler, and welcome to a brand new edition of OSU Football with Scott Wright. Oklahoma State went to Seattle last week and beat Washington State 39-13 and roll into the easy part of their schedule starting Saturday at home against Houston. First question for you is, Scott, what are the chances that the Cowboys could start the season undefeated, going all the way to the Missouri game, which is October 11th, would make them 5-0? What are the chances?
I think they're in a really good situation for that right now. Looking at the next 4 games, all of them are at home. Based on what happened to Texas A&M at home against Arkansas State, an 18-14 defeat, it looks like Houston is probably the toughest of these next 4 games. You've also got Missouri State and Troy in there, so Houston looks like the toughest competition that they've got in the next 4. And going into this game, the Cowboys are already in the neighborhood of a 2-touchdown favorite in the books. So it looks like they're in a pretty good position to make it a 5-0 start.
Well, that looks good, but let's talk about the Washington State game a little bit, about the players that emerged. The biggest guy has got to be Dez Bryant. We all kind of knew what he was capable of, but he really came out and was a star on Saturday. You've already written about how he's going to start drawing some double teams. You wrote about that today. How big of a weapon will he be in the Cowboys offense? Is he the number one guy, as Rashawn Woods was back in the day?
He really is going to be able to step into that type of role. He's got the ability. As Coach Gundy said yesterday, he's even a little bit more physical than Rashawn was. Rashawn was a taskmaster. He was really talented at precise route running and things like that. That maybe Dez isn't quite up to his speed at that point, but he is ready to step into the playmaker role for this team. He's going to be the go-to guy in the passing game. Brandon Pettigrew is a talented pass catcher, but he spends some time in there blocking as well, so it takes him out of some routes. They don't have another established wide receiver right now, though some other guys could step in as the number 2 guy behind Dez. But right now they need to get Dez the ball as much as they can. He's really primed to be a superstar in this league.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the other side of the ball too, because the defense really played exceptional. During those first 10 minutes where the offense was trying to find the rhythm a little bit and everything. Who stood out the most for you on defense, and do they got guys that are going to really emerge over these first 5 weeks as stoppers?
A couple of guys that I thought really played well were Jure Chatham, defensive tackle. Whenever you're noticing a defensive tackle doing things, getting in the backfield, and even if he's not making tackles and disrupting things like that, it's a pretty good sign. And Jure, they've been talking about him all through August, and he showed it on the field on Saturday. Ricky Price is another guy that they're using in a way that allows him to do a lot of different things. He made a good play in pass coverage, knocking a long pass away as it was going right into a guy's hands. Had a sack, forced a fumble that could have been picked up by Oklahoma State, and they just weren't able to get on it. He's a guy that is really athletic and really fast and gets a lot of things done. So those are 2 guys that I think you saw. What you saw from them on Saturday is just the beginning. They're guys that are going to make some strides and really be the heart and soul of this defense.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the play calling, because leading up, that was the big news leading up to this game, is that Gundy was going to handle all the play calling themselves. They pull out, I wish I had one of these, they pull out these huge signs on the sideline, that had a little decoy in him and everything, and he's speaking into his secret microphone and all that. How did that all work out? What do you see developing as, the games become more important as far as balance between running and passing, because they ran the majority of the beginning of that game. Mm-hmm. Just talk a little bit about the play calling in general. How did that work?
I think you'll see Gundy get more comfortable. I think that maybe he went into this game kind of wondering what to show early, where to be more reserved. I think maybe that's why you saw so many running plays. He ran the ball every play of the first 2 offensive series. Then the third series, he threw it 6 of the 7 plays. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's trying to figure out how he wants to work things, and kind of figuring out that juggling act between if they're doubling outside, you want to try to run the ball. If they're crunch it down on you. You want to try to get it to Dez or one of those other guys outside. So he's trying to get a feel for that, how teams are going to react to what he's got. He did a really good job on Saturday. Washington State was working really hard to keep the quarterback run game in containment and did a good job with it, but he was able to find some other things, Kendall Hunter or the jump ball to Dez, that enabled the offense to keep moving. They did struggle some in the red zone. It was a combination of different things with both them and what Washington State was doing to kind of confuse them. But they'll get those things worked out, and I think that you'll see Gundy become a lot more comfortable in this role as the season goes along, and you're still going to be seeing the big cue cards.
It's kind of like when you first get the video game out and you just try every play. Wonder what this does. Wonder what this does. Yeah. It appears that if it holds the form, that the Houston game, they could be going up and down. Both of them could be going up and down the field a lot, given Houston style and the new rules and everything. Is that kind of what you expect? Yeah, it really is. If you look at the three guys that are most involved with the Houston offense, you've got the head coach, Kevin Sumlin, who was obviously at Oklahoma for the last 4 years. You've got Dana Holgorsen, who was offensive coordinator at Texas Tech. That's kind of a dubious title, but still he's bringing that type of influence. Right. And their third coordinator, whose name escapes me now, Philip Jones. He was a guy that was at Houston under Art Briles, who also had some Texas Tech influence. Sure. So you can expect a lot of airing it out. Probably not a lot of huddling again this week. All righty, thanks, Scott. Scott will be back on Friday as part of the new episode of the Bedlam Nation Conversation. And stay with Scott and the rest of the best coverage team in the state. For all the news on OSU at newsok.com, newsok.tv, and every day in the Oklahoman.